Has this happened to you? You're just minding your own business, minding away when you run across this danger-filled death trap called a trial chamber. You just want to loot some chests when wha-bam! Baby zombies pour out of nowhere. You didn't sign up to be a babysitter. Where are their parents? Then if you manage to dispatch them, you might get a key, if you're lucky. If not, it's a 30-minute wait. And then you end up with a vault that you might get something cool, but it's only a one-time use. And so if you don't, that sucks. Trial chambers, they make you so frustrated you just want to... I'm Loki with the Channel 64 Redstone Research and Development Team. I know exactly what the problem is. Too much fun. That's right, FUN, or frustrating, unoptimized nonsense. It's the bane of Minecraft gameplay. With my automation and batch mob removal techniques, you'll be sitting on a mountain of keys and a much smaller mountain of loot. I've eliminated fun, and so can you. Welcome back to another episode of Channel 64. Today we're going to be looking at the trial chambers and what I've done to ruin the intended gameplay of them. So let's head on over to the trial chambers that we have set up. So I've got actually a few trial chambers very near my base now that I've upgraded. There's one up there to the north that we'll come visit in a little bit, and one out here in the ocean very near to our guardian farm. So I've gone ahead and built a very convenient entrance that we just drop into here with a nice bubble vader to get out. I have stripped this of a lot of its copper, most of its copper, if you will, because they're very useful for getting a lot of copper. So what we did? We have set up some pretty cool farms here. These are very simple farms. Essentially, around each trial spawner, you're going to have a 2x2 square area, or a 4, I guess, taxi cab distance away from this spawner area that they can spawn in. It's roughly about 2x2 on the outside here. I've filled that area in and cleared it out with some soul soil that I've lit on fire. So we have the soul flames in here. It does a lot of damage. And then underneath the trial spawner itself, because we're only looking to collect loot from this and not actually from the mobs themselves, we have a hopper minecart, which then goes into a hopper and then down into this chest. And so what that allows us to do is trigger these by walking up to them, or in the case of what we have set up here, riding around in a minecart, and they drop keys and potions and all the other loot stuff. So we've got, you know, quite a few things, and the occasional rotten flesh that they end up dying on top of the actual trial spawner themselves. And then, of course, you know, with the chambers, we have all these vaults that we can use these keys in. Unfortunately, it's only one use per player, so I've already gathered all of these, or I've gotten loot out of all these. And yeah, now I'm waiting for other players to come by and take the keys that I've gotten to grab loot out of there as well. So let's hop on up here and take a look at the setup. So you can see I've triggered this. We've got a couple baby zombie spawners. They're horrible, but they die pretty quickly. So I have a giant circuit that goes around this entire trial chamber, and we have a bunch of different farms set up in here to collect the drops from those. So there you go. You saw there's a key that popped out of there. And come on down here. Grab several keys, actually. We've gotten some. Looks like that was a potion of regen. And I've waterlogged a lot of these rails to help slow down the player, because there is that 30-minute cooldown that is on all of these different trial spawners. And so we want to keep the circuit fast enough to trigger them all, but also slow enough to only come through here about twice during that 30-minute cooldown. And the other thing too is we have a setup, which I'll show you, it's in the other farm, or the other trial chamber, that allows us to get our ominous potions so that we have the ominous effect to get more drops out of that. So up here, we've got a few more spawners. So there's 4 of the bogged spawners up here. And you'll see that one of the side effects about having all the ominous potions and ominous spawners is we do end up getting some of that potion of webbing effect that does kind of break the farm a little bit. They still end up dying though, so it's not too bad. But if it does end up filling up too much, I do have to open this up and clear that out. Then once we've gone through all of that, we'll come on down here, and yes, there are more farms, of course. We've got another baby zombie. And then heading over this way, let's go above everything. In the two directions, we have breeze farms actually in both of these directions here. So let's go to this one. It's a little bit easier to see, I think. Also, have cleared out the copper here for the most part. So the Reeves farm is a little bit different. We've triggered that one already. So you'll see the breezes end up going into a portal where they'll wait to be killed by the player as well, and that allows them to stack up as they're going along. But you still end up getting the drops from that as well, which is kind of cool. So yeah, all these rooms are kind of similar in the sense that we've got these farms set up where it's boxing everything in. It's 2x2 space with all the fire, except for, of course, the breezes, which is slightly different because we're not killing those in the trial chambers. And you'll see I have these different junctions here, so this goes in a giant loop. So let's actually grab a minecart and head on over to the other trial chamber to take a look at that. Now, of course, this is a very long trip. The other trial spawner is about 2,000 blocks away. So it does take several minutes to get there by minecart, and especially minecart that is in these waterlogged rails. Now, there's a couple things you want to pay attention to when you are making a farm like this. So if you end up waterlogging rails in a tunnel going between the farms, you want to make sure that if you're going through a lush cave that you actually don't have those rails waterlogged. And the reason for that is you'll get axolotls spawning in. And if you're AFK, your minecart will stop when it hits an axolotl or possibly bump off of it and go in the opposite direction, which is something that I've had to contend with. Also, on the actual trial spawners themselves, you want to make sure that you have all the corners covered. So you want that 2x2 gap around everything, but you also want to make sure that you cover the corners because you may get mobs that spawn outside of that. So we'll head on over there and then take a look at what I built. All right, and now we are in the other trial chamber. So we'll be triggering stuff as we drive by here. Along the way, we're going to check out some of the sites. So this trial chamber is set up a little bit differently. Based off of the way we were able to trim chunks between updates between versions, only half of this trial chamber actually ended up spawning in. So the other half got cut off by previous chunks. And there we go. We've hit the back end of that. Now we're going to reverse directions. We can take a look at where those breezes end up going here in a sec. And I'll show you how we take care of those. So on the way back through the long tunnel, we're actually going to pick up an ominous potion. So normally when you're AFK in this farm, you'd hold down the right mouse button or, you know, do the trick, the F3T trick. So we would hold it down and then like that. And that allows us to essentially be holding that the entire time. And we're not going to pick up a bottle every time. So actually what I'm going to do is not fire off rockets. We're going to... Oh, I forgot I was holding... There we go. That's the problem with holding the right mouse button down. Alright, so let's wade our way through here real quick. So every other time we pass by... this section right here, we're going to pick up a bottle. And so the way this works is this goes over the detector rail, which then triggers a redstone or a copper bulb. Can't see it because it's very dark in here. We have a comparator coming off of that and then going into a solid block, then into a dropper with ominous potion bottles in there. So every other time that we go through here, because it's about a 15-minute trip, we should be picking up one of those ominous potion bottles. The goal is to essentially trigger all of these normally, so we get the normal trial spawns, and then once we've gone through everything once, to trigger it again with the ominous potions. And that way that allows us to get, you know, for in the case of like these breezes over here, it gets 6 breezes per pass instead of just the 2 or the 4. The timing's not perfect, so we end up kind of going through here a little bit quickly. I end up with a surplus of bottles, and we end up only getting all of the ominous trials being spawned here, or ominous spawners. We're gonna say that word ominous so many times. But anyways, now let's pretend that we're done with AFK in here. We'll go check our chest and grab all of our keys. Then we would head over very carefully into the nether, and we want to make sure to shut this door behind us so as not to have any breeze escape. And the breeze will be safely above us so that we won't hurt ourselves. And there they are. And so then all we do here is we let them build up. Usually I get quite a few of them, probably like 30 per farm. And I say per farm because this farm right here is for the north trial chamber that we have above our base. And then there's one that's on the other side of this wall over here for the one in the ocean. So right now we only have 2. Oh, 3. I guess there is one sitting there already. I didn't get a ton of breeze rods, only 6. Well, actually, I think there might be some more waiting for me in here. There we go. That's more like it. Usually they drop quite a few breeze rods. So 22, not bad. And then we're going to hop on over here real quick to the other farm, and we have them waiting right here for us. And I think we got everything for that. So, you know, just one pass through there, we already have half a stack of breeze rods, which is pretty awesome. And I've been at this for a while. We've done 2 full overnight sessions, and one of which I woke up essentially out of my minecart standing in the corner with 1 heart of health. I don't know how that ended up happening, but kind of scary. I probably don't want to, you know, AFK with all your stuff on you. Let me show you my haul so far. I did end up giving Lucy a stack and a quarter of my standard trial keys, so that kind of give you an idea. But I mean, as you can see, we have, you know, already 2 stacks of trial keys. You know, working up to a half. We'll probably have a half stack altogether once I go through everything, and then almost 2 stacks of ominous keys right there, and then a whole ton of breeze rods. I've gotten so many of those. Now, you may notice I also had a ton of these ominous bottles, and that's also because we built a farm for that. So just to the east of my base, there was a Pillager Outpost over here that I've now set up for this purpose of just grabbing these bottles. So essentially the setup here is you've got a iron golem in the center, and then all of the pillagers run into this water stream that pushes them into the lava. And I mean, once we AFK here for just a few seconds, we'll get quite a few actually. You'll see in a second here. And so then all you have to do is just essentially AFK up at this platform, and we can check out how efficient it is. So those bottles drop from any of the raid captains, which will be the ones that have the banners. I'm not getting a whole lot right now. They do end up spawning quite frequently though. So it's just a matter of time before we get a bunch of raid captains coming in. And for the most part, they spawn just on this platform. Occasionally though, we will get some that spawn a little outside of that, and they'll kind of get stuck. They won't know to pathfind, so it's a little bit Might be a little bit too big, but for the most part, it works. And they'll despawn after a while if they stand there long enough. I haven't seen any raid captains, which is kind of surprising. Oh, there we go. There's one. There's two. Give it a little bit more time. So essentially when you're done, you come check these 4 chests and you should have some bottles in there. I don't think we're going to have too many because there's only a couple captains I saw come through. Let's get everybody to spawn in so I can safely grab these. Nope, we got a few. None in there. A lot in here. And a few more. Wow. All right, so we've got, quite a few already. So 14, not bad. Probably more than we're ever gonna need. So that's pretty much it for the trial chambers. It's pretty cool. I've gotten quite a few items from there. I do have a mace. I still need to get all the books for the maces, but I have enough to be able to put them in our Roll'em Shulkers boxes, which are extremely popular. I've made so many diamond blocks from that. And then, of course, all the breeze rods, which we're going to probably turn into wind charges. And we may have to make some sort of game out of that, maybe for the park here. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to use them for, but it was more to make sure that the folks on the server had access to those as well. Along with that, we are opening the park. So for everyone that didn't get a season pass in the One Chunk Challenge, I am offering some for free because it's too hard for me to run around and grab everybody and deliver those. So we'll start off with our first 2 rides in the park. Of course, we have our drop tower and sky pigs, which should be adequately chunk loaded now, hopefully. And then as we go along, I will be building more and more to this. I'm still working hard on the water ride, which is enormous. It is going to be on the far side of the park over there. But it's getting painfully close to the end of season, so I definitely want to make sure I get as much of this park done as possible. It's a little bit might be too much, but we'll see what we can get done before the end of the season. All right, and last but not least, I wanted to drop by Peep Orp Space. This is pretty awesome. They've done so much with the area, and I really love bringing back the cobweb smoke. But we have to drop off and hide Wally Waldo. So I need to find a place to hide him. And you're going to have to tune in the Peeps episode to see where that was. I tried to go a little bit easy, but, I didn't want it as easy as some of the other ones I've seen. So hopefully they'll be able to find it. But, after struggling a little bit. Anyways, that's all for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed our exploration of ruining Minecraft mechanics and automating everything, because we don't need fun. Fun is inefficient. And until next time, safe travels, everyone.